Before we start the video, a large thank you to Halo Burner and Ryan Bellin for their immense support to the channel this month on Patreon. It's sincerely appreciated, gentlemen, and I hope you enjoy the video. Hello guys, so the plan today is to animate our character before we move on to the final portion of the movement system. So basically we're going to utilize a blend tree, and we're going to have our character move. I'm going to show you how to set up omnidirectional movement. Now in terms of movement in Diablo 2, you only have forward, run, walk, and idle, but I will showcase the omnidirectional movement, that is forward, backward, left, right, forward, left, backward, right, etc. using a blend tree just in case anybody wants to use it. Okay, let's get started. Alright guys, I'm going to go to my player prefab, and as you can see on it, I have an animator component. If you don't have one, add it, and make sure your rig is set up on your character. Then I'm going to go over to my art folder, and I'm going to make a folder for animations. And inside that folder, I'm going to make an animator controller component. And this is how we're going to set up our character's animator. So I will go inside here now, go to animation, animator controller. I'm going to call it humanoid because I'm going to use this for a lot of the humanoid characters that will represent a character similar to our player. So I'm going to start by going to the base layer, creating a new state and calling it idle. And I'm going to create a new state from a blend tree and call it locomotion. Now some of you might be asking, why won't you just put the idle on the locomotion blend tree and just put it on 0, 0? Well, for reasons beyond my understanding with Unity, you're supposed to actually put it on its own separate state if there's no movement intended on it. Now, if you don't have any animations, you can go to MiXMO here, and there's a bunch you can get for free. If you search up walk and run and idle, you can find a lot here. Another alternative is going to the Unity Asset Store, going to animations, and then go to pricing and click free. You can see here there's a locomotion set, I believe, right here, basic motions, and a bunch of other stuff. And if you want to support the series or you want some of our animations, I will leave a link. We have a bunch of sets down here below. I'm going to be using some stuff from the Fist animation set for this video. Alright, so I'm going to create a new folder called add-ons. I just like doing this. You don't have to. If I use any other package that's third party, I put it in here. And I'm going to find my idle. And I'm just going to put one up here, right here on the idle animation. And then I'm going to come down here and play it. You can see this is what it looks like. And now if I go over to my locomotion, I'm going to want to go to parameters on the animator. So we want to switch into this, double click it rather. You can see here we have a blend tree type. I'm going to put it to 2D freeform directional, which means it's going to need two parameters. And you can see here we have one called blend. Well, I'm going to rename this one to vertical. And this is a float, by the way. And I'm going to make another float here by clicking this plus. And I'm going to call it horizontal. And what this means is, based on the value of these two, we're going to set up to horizontal and vertical, it's going to play an animation. So, for example, you can see here, this is 0, 0. So that's 0 on the horizontal and 0 on the vertical. What would it play? So if we were to go to our animation here and say 0 and 1, this is now 0 on the horizontal and 1 on the vertical, and that would be running forward. And this might not make a lot of sense to you, but I'll explain it more as we go on and you'll start to see a bigger picture. So if I add a second motion field, you can see the square appears above us here. So let's pretend we're that red dot in the center. If I add another field here and put -1 and 1, you can see that it is above and to the left of us up here. So that would mean this is forward left. So add an animation that says run forward left. So I'm going to use the unarmed main run animations. The main keyword just means main hand, because I'm using these from like a Souls-like series where there's two hand and main hand. So if I add 1, 1, you can see it's up here to the top and to the right. So that would be forward right. And it's just that easy really if you set it up like this. So just pretend again that that red dot is you in the center, and everything that you make around it via these numbers is the animation direction. So -1 on the Y, 0 on the X is going to be run backwards, like so. And there it is. Alright, so that pattern is going to basically just go on and on for the entirety of the blend tree. And depending on how many animations you have or what you're using, you can set up as many as you want. It's pretty standard to go forward, forward left, forward right, then just left and right, and then backward, backward left, and backward right. That will get you where you want to be because you can blend between all these animations depending on the values. And I'll show you an example of that just in a moment. So left and right would just be -1 and 1 respectively on the X, and then 0 on the Y. So that's the horizontal value contains the actual value, and the vertical value contains 0. So after you do this as well, you can then do the same thing for walking. But before I do that, I'll just show you here. So if I put 1 on the vertical and 1 on the horizontal, you can see he's running to forward right. If I change that to -1 on the horizontal, he runs forward left. If I change that to -1 on the vertical, he starts going backwards. So basically your vertical 1 and -1 is going from forward to backward, and your horizontal 1 and -1 is going from right to left. Now, you should always have an animation on the 0, 0 value as well, and it should be your walk forward. but I'm only showing you run so far, so I guess I'll start talking about walk in a moment. But first, let's go back out to the base layer. Let's make a new bool parameter on the animator and say is moving. And what we're going to do is, if we are moving, we're going to go to the locomotion state here without any exit time. If we're not moving, we're going to come back to the idle state. So again, this is a weird thing with Unity where you should put your idle on its own state if there's no movement intended there, and don't put it on a blend tree. I forget why, I just know this is the practice. Otherwise you get some weird behavior sometimes. So coming back in the blend tree here, let's add another motion, and we're going to start doing our walk. And walk is going to be the same as run, except we're going to use 0.5 instead of 1. That's it. So -1 becomes -0.5, and then +1 becomes 0.5. This is both true for the horizontal and vertical. And what you can see then in the image above is you'll see that almost like a smaller perimeter will start forming between the red dot and the larger perimeter. And then we can just basically lock our character's max vertical and max horizontal value at 0.5 if we're not allowed to run. So if we're out of energy, if we're going on the Diablo 2 system. And then if not, we can allow it to go up to 1 basically. So I'm just going to fill in all these values again, and I'll do it on video. And then we can go and start messing with the horizontal and vertical parameters again down there, and I can show you what it looks like. When you're done though, you should see an image that will be similar to mine when I'm done. And if for some reason your dots aren't lined up like that, then you know you've done something wrong. And also, it's very easy to put the wrong animation inside the wrong combination, so watch out for that as well. For example, if you put backwards in +1 on the vertical, then it's going to look a little silly. Alright, so the last two I need to put in here are the left and right. Let's do that real fast. Make one more, -0.5 on the horizontal and 0 on the vertical, and there we go. And you can see the image here. It looks like a box within a box, basically. Okay, now if I play this, and we go to 0, 0, he's actually running right now because we have something defaulting in the 0 input. But if I go to 0.5, we'll change it to walking. And as I'm saying that now, the default on 0, 0 should not be run, it should be walk. So I'm just going to change that out really fast and put that up there. There we go. Okay, that looks good. And now if we change any of these values, you can see the same thing as running. It'll just change to a run instead of a walk. So the whole idea with this is you're going to blend between these animations. That's why it's called a blend tree. And depending on the values, it changes the animation that's played, even though they're all in that one state. Now if I go into the game here now, and I click right here, you can see my nav mesh agent is moving, as we did in the last video. If we go to just really sell them the point here, I want you to see it in, click on the player and go to gizmos, you can see there it is, it's moving, but obviously nothing happens. If I go to my animator and change my vertical to 1, oh, it might actually help if I put in the animator controller. It's not actually on the human one right now. So if I click is moving and set the vertical value to 1 and I drag in my animator controller on the player prefab here, he should start moving. Yes, but you can see he runs right off the map. Why is that? Well, right now you can see apply root motion is ticked, and that means he runs with the animation's movement. So if you untick that, he won't actually use the animation movement, he'll just run in place, which is what we're going to showcase first. So untick apply root motion on your prefab and add the humanoid controller to your character. And untick is moving by default, obviously, and sets vertical to 0. But then go in here in the game, click on your player. You can see here it's lit up, implying that this is the animation state he's in if we click him. Now we can basically click somewhere, and there goes our nav mesh agent. Now if we go in here, set the vertical to 1, and nothing happens yet, but tick is moving, you can see he starts playing a running animation. So what you want the character to do is play this only when they're moving, and then when they get to their destination, you want them to stop. So if we were to go to our player prefab right now, and remove the nav mesh agent from the child object, and take this component, right click and copy it, and paste it on the main object up here, and just delete the nav mesh agent, what would happen is, if we go into the game, save this prefab first obviously, load back into your world, and if you click somewhere you can see the character actually moves. Now, we're going to do things a little bit differently in the next video, but this is a viable way to set this up. I'm just going to show you maybe a couple ways, and if you want, maybe I can even do an additional one where I show WASD movement. But regardless, right now, here's what I would like you to try to do, especially if you're watching this series and you're only an intermediate and you don't have a lot of experience with Unity. Before you go to the next video, I want you to try to make it so that when you click on a location to move your player, make the player play the running forward animation, and when they stop, make them go back to the idle animation. So you have everything set up now in the blend tree, or even if you're just using a regular forward and idle movement setup, you have everything required to do that. So once again, give this an attempt. This is the best way to learn. Always try things outside of the resource material you're watching. You'll develop great problem solving skills that way, and more importantly, you'll develop confidence in your abilities. So give it a whack, take an attempt at it, make the player play the running or walking animations when they're on the way to a destination, and when they get there, set them back to the idle animations. You got this, best of luck. Shout out to my patrons for keeping both of my series alive and well. Thank you very much. The channel is up and active because of you. Shout out to the people who take the time to share the video via like and commenting and word of mouth. You are all greatly appreciated. I will see you guys in the next one.